Welcome back, my friends. It's good to be back here with you for your weekly roar. I'm only laughing because we have been at work this week. And whenever I talk about your weekly roar, it's like, has it been another week? It's gone so fast. But my name's Dustin Hedrick, and I am hosting here today with the illustrious Brandon Billings. And today we're going to dig into some hot topics that are going on right now, some updates to old software that we've loved forever and our take on it, as well as some, coming updates for our software. With that said, Brandon, I'm ready to jump in and talk about what we've been seeing with the latest Gnosis
Hmm.
Safe update.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
we got a little bit of a shocker this week.
Yeah, I went in there and they had a new user agreement, and we dropped that thing into Chat GPT and weren't real impressed with what we saw. Um, you know, we've got our own multi-sig wallet, and I would dare to say it's a better solution, especially given the new user agreement. I love what we're building, and maybe we should just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the first thing I'd encourage you to do is if you're using Safe for your multi-sig, if you haven't done it, look it up. Or if you have done it and you've looked at what that policy is, that privacy policy, as well as the user agreement, there's some stuff in there that's just kind of a no-go for us.
Mm-hmm.
And so we realized, hey, this is smart contracting and this is in the blockchain. And, this is a great time for us to bring forward something that we had already been building,
Mm-hmm.
which is our own R0AR safe. And you guys have heard about it. We just launched it a week ago. We couldn't have known, or 2 weeks ago, couldn't have known that this would be, hot topic this week. But we went into high gear to add all kinds of extras and bonuses to ours. We support the safe format, and we are our own entity itself. So here's the great thing about ours. The first thing I'll say is, and I'm making some commentary as I say it. Web3 should always be decentralized.
That's right.
Web3 should always be private and secure at the same time. It should always have trustless activity so that things can be frictionless. And at the same time, there's this level of security, but also privacy built into it. And then lastly, my favorite of all time, and I'll put this even to our next topic, we'll bring up in a minute, self-sovereignty.
Hmm.
And you guys, if you decide to work with, you know, folks that are invading your privacy and giving terms that are not to your benefit,
Hmm.
that's up to you.
Absolutely.
But R0AR, we are committed to the core original values of Web3. And so that's why we built everything into our community. That's why at the end of the day, community owns it all when we are down the road.
Hmm.
Guys, we have now a safe solution for multi-signature wallets that allow you to keep that self-sovereignty,
Hmm.
and we are not breaching your privacy. We are not tracking everything. It's in the blockchain. Let it stay in the blockchain. We're not tracking you from databases. We're not looking at what you're interacting with. We're not threatening you that we can take your safe over, and we're not threatening to eject you from our platform. I understand some of the logic. It's just that the execution is really, really lacking. And so we're going to keep building. And now we're building ours way outside the box, bigger and better. So my
Right.
favorite feature is, and Brandon, you get to share what you love about it now, but my favorite feature is self sovereignty. And we're
Yes.
not threatening your privacy and your ability to do what you need to do. Your finances need to be your finances, and I'm not tracking you on it. So, and I'm not threatening you either. What's your
Mhm.
favorite?
Well, the ease of use is a big part of this, and that I think is encompassed by several of the features. The first is the ability to import. If you have another multi-sig wallet, you can easily drop that address in there and just pull it right over and start using it. To me, that's incredible to make it really super simple. if you're, at another um, location and you don't like their user agreement, check ours out. It makes it easy to bring it over. The other thing would be, there's so many features. It's hard to even talk about them all, and you can probably go into those details a little bit more even than I can. But I love like the statements feature where you can go and you can see all the transactions and you can do filtering and I mean, it really helps you understand like your activity and what you're doing. It makes it easy to see right there in one place. You can clear out all the spam. I know I get a bunch of stuff that people send just pops up in the wallet, and you can filter that stuff out and clean it up so that you can get a true picture of what's going on there. I mean, there's so many benefits, right? The NFT gallery is beautiful. You can go and look and see all your NFTs there. Yeah, those are some of my favorite pieces.
Mine too. There, like you're saying, there's so much there, so much more that we can talk about on this call. We'll break
For sure.
into some tutorials later. Again, we've talked about Crypto U over and over. Crypto U 2.0 is going to have a lot of tutorials and walkthroughs on what our software does. So you can, of course, find us on our YouTube channel at the Executive Roar Society YouTube channel. You can find our information on Crypto U 2.0. Use it, jump into it. We will be bringing you tons more content on how to use it. But guys, we're simplifying it. If you've been using anything in the Gnosis world, you'll recognize some of the thinking and you'll see it's super simple. We're making it even more simple. The last thing I want to mention is for this safe is that in my experience, I want certain things from Web3 and I want it to function a certain way. And I'm about end user ease of use
Mhm.
and making things less technical, even though I'm a technical person, so that anyone can use something. And I believe we're moving the friction out of the way. Some of the weird stuff, like if you've ever used a safe, a multi-sig online, and let me say, multi-sigs are important.
Mhm.
There's no framework or basis for legacy banking in the real blockchain world without a way to have multi-signatures before something transacts or
Mhm.
to create proposals or whatever, whether it's a DAO or even legacy banking. Banking's going to want this.
Mhm.
Institutions are going to want it. It's the best way to hold things and have multiple people sign off on it, not just one person and not fully, custodying whatever. So we need that kind of trustlessness. We need it built this way. You need this as a framework. It's the basis for institutional use and adoption. But at the same time, you shouldn't have to hire a technical advisor to be
Mhm.
able to deal with the fact that nonces don't pair up. And all of a sudden, you've got to run a transaction over a transaction on the blockchain to remove the nonce or weird stuff. So we're working in our world to make it where our actual system understands and adapts to RPC issues, things you don't probably understand, or nonce issues, or whatever. Some of the very things that have been pain points for us, we're not just reinventing the wheel, we're making it better. So
Mhm.
the wheel was kind of more octagonal than round. And so we're just chipping away at making that thing round. And so as we move forward, out of the beta era, I believe we're going to become a front leading best of class solution. And we use the standards the industry knows. We use the safety, the security, what we've learned from Gnosis. We use that. So again, here we are. We got some interesting news from the media, and we've had some strange experiences ourselves, and we just built something better. And that's where we're at. So, and our commitment is to make it even better every day. All right. So, with that said, MetaMask. I mean, like I'm not picking on MetaMask, love Gnosis, but I got to be honest. The latest rollouts are almost every few days, and it's weird stuff. It's like, God bless it. I don't need
Yeah.
advertisements in my wallet plugin or extension.
Oh,
It's
yes.
killing me. Or the fact that you have to run your transactions through their preferred RPC provider and you have to keep changing it if you don't want to use their RPC. And then the RPC rate limits you. And it's like, come on, man. Like
Mhm.
I've had issues in transactions. We've had people not able to interact with our software. I'm not loving MetaMask new changes. I'm not. I love the way it looks,
Mhm.
but I'm not loving the things that are real painful barriers right now. And so we're removing more of those from our wallet. That's all I want to say is that the next wallet update is coming, and we're going to keep removing the barriers and the issues. Our goal with our wallet is not to give you advertisements. It's not to try to push our RPC provider over anyone else's. It's not to push you on our chain. It's not even to aggregate your trades, your swaps on dexes, and to add a fee to it. Again,
Mhm.
no comment on anyone else out there who does it, but they do.
Yeah.
We committed not to do that. Self sovereignty, decentralization, autonomous ownership, trustlessness, and remove the friction. That's where we're going. And guys, once we get our full global amount of projects out there, we have a lot. There's like 28. We've said this over and over. When we have them out there, we're just going to keep honing those and making them better because we're removing barriers for people to enter Web3. So, what are your thoughts, Brandon? You went through it too.
I think that every time we release new products, we add more products to that list because I feel like 28's the number. It just kind of stays right around there.
It hasn't gone down. That is very true.
Yeah, yeah.
We released four. We're at 28. What does that mean? We added four. We really
Th-
did. It's true.
that's right. No, I have experienced a lot of those same issues with MetaMask, and I've loved MetaMask for a long time. I've used them for a long time. It's just, it's a little more buggy now. I feel like maybe they've been rushing a little bit more than normal to get stuff out, and then things aren't working like they should. And yeah, I agree with all of your observations there.
Yeah, people have had issues with some of our software, and we've had to go
Mhm.
backwards, find out it was something to do with MetaMask or the wallet they're in, and then set up a report on that or just put it on the web so they can actually figure out what's going on too. And again, they're getting addressed, but it's just
That's
we're
right.
new. We're new. We have beta on our name everywhere. We have
Yeah.
ROAR Safe beta. You expect there to be bugs we're learning about. The wallets and stuff. You would expect that, but folks, we're not doing this. We're making it better at each step. And we're
Mhm.
listening to what you're saying. Folks came back and said, hey, we love your wallet and our mobile app, but we want to see all of our wallets imported at once. We're like, wait, it doesn't do that. We thought we did that. But we went back, did it. That's what we're doing. We're hearing what you're saying, recognizing even as we're moving so fast that we may miss some things and making it better and better and better and better and honing it in. And again, that's not to fee you to death or to stick ads in front of your face or to take your privacy away or to threaten you that we can shut you down and kick you out if we don't fully agree with what you're doing. Irregardless of what we do, you can't, do anything to us. And that's the kinds of things that others are doing out there, and we're just not. We're here
That's
for the
right.
community. We're here to build better. So oh my lands! I don't even know who will hear this podcast, Brandon. But I'm making myself more and more nervous as we go ahead and we punch the giants and run. Like we're punching at people. We love Gnosis. Thank you for where you've gotten us. We love MetaMask and Infura. Thank you for where you've gotten us. Ethereum Foundation. Thank you for where you've gotten us. We're grateful, but we want to do things a certain way, make it better. And now I'm going to kick another giant. How many people experienced the AWS outage this past week? Oh my goodness. Before I even hand this over to Brandon, I got to tell you, my first reason I picked up on something going wrong in AWS had nothing to do with our software. Wow. I was like working and coding, no issues, working with our AI, Oracle and I, building and doing stuff, getting things done. And I go to use my MetaMask wallet and it pops up and says the server cannot communicate with your wallet, errors out, fails, and restarts.
Mhm.
Guys, that's challenging. In Web3, our software should not rely on a Web2 server. And what's going on Ethereum wallet wallet that requires that access. It's got to be in the world of information tracking or in the world of advertising and information, serving. And so I can open up ours and it's like, wow, that works still. No issues.
Right.
Wasn't Ethereum that was down, wasn't our blockchain, R0AR wasn't down. We're rolling. It wasn't where we store stuff because we work in a decentralized world. IPFS, not a problem. I didn't hear a whisper out of Arweave, IPFS, or any of the others. I did hear some issues about some RPCs that are on Ethereum, but they were running on AWS servers. Let's talk about centralization versus decentralization. Back to the core of Web3. So, granted, big boys like AWS, they got these big server farms around the world, and that is, quote, quote, decentralized. It's called co-location. I know those words because I've built some of those. So I built hybrid versions, and I built out the framework and engineering for some of the big ones. Worked in the DC metro area. That's what we did, man. So I've worked through some of the biggest problems in that space ever. And co-location is great, but it's not the same thing. And it's great to have failover in systems where one spins up when one goes down, but that's not the same thing. It's great to have servers that represent whole areas on the planet, but that's not the same thing. Any one of those require downtime and uptime and fixing, or CDNs have to change, or you have to do whatever. Failover has to roll in, and then you have to bring up the backup and get it rolling. There's all these steps in mitigating outages. That is not the same as Web3. Blockchains that are at their best are decentralized. There is no downtime. You may have one person go down here. You may have somebody running something on a centralized server over here or there or whatever, but largely it's running. IPFS, the new internet. So IPFS, it's a freaking starfish, not a spider. AWS proved this past week it's a spider. You know what happens to a spider when its legs are pulled off? Bird bait, baby. Azure, AWS, all the big boys, bird bait. That is legacy technology. That is not disruptive. That is not our future. What does that mean? It takes one entity to point at them and say, shut down. It takes one cyber attack, one DDoS attack, one government that says you're not here, you can't be here. Mm-hmm. One entity. You are one point to take down the whole thing. That's the spider. And I don't care what people think about the World Wide Web. It's largely a spider. And if legs are pulled off, you're bird bait. You can't get back up. Don't even ask Parler about their experience of it. Did I go there? I went there. Real deal Holyfield. And who did that to them? AWS did that to them? True story. Guys, this is real. We need decentralized. That's why we are in this space going, hey, man, little local computers, little nobodies that just offer up some of their storage space and activity and function, or part of their graphics card or CPU function. They're helping keep the internet alive. Mm-hmm. It's the masses working together in community that keeps it alive. And that is like the starfish. You know what happens to starfish? Starfish gets a leg cut off, it'll grow its leg back. And if enough leg is cut off, it can grow a whole new starfish. That's Web3, baby. Web3 is just like that. And I give credit back to Rob Beckstrom for that idea. Starfish and Spider, great book, great read. Disruptive technology at its best is going to be that kind of function. And that's what we are doing. That's what these blockchains are. That's why you want to have nodes. You want to spread out the load. This is the purpose. It says starfish versus spider. And so what happened to a lot of fintech this past week? AWS goes down. It wasn't just them. Stripe went bye-bye. PayPal goes nowhere. Certain transactions couldn't work across networks. Like you couldn't use your money in some places. Hello, that's a problem. What else works in that world? Central bank digital currencies. Just saying. A centralized bank is 1 point. 1 point. Even if they put up a couple servers, good for them. 1 point of execution. Blockchains are not that. The Ethereum token itself, representative of a transactable token, a store of value, It can only go down if every part of Ethereum goes down everywhere. Bitcoin's the same. That's why we're so hot on fire for this, guys. My transactability did not go down. You know what did go down? MetaMask, ability to interact with Gnosis. Gnosis had RPC errors and issues. You couldn't transact. You know what did work? R0AR wallet. You know what did transact all day long because we paid our bills with it? R0AR Safe. R0AR safe.com. There's the ad. R0AR Safe stayed up. AWS was down. R0AR Safe was up. I couldn't do stuff, and I had to import my wallet from Gnosis at that exact moment and go to work on it. And guys, it was good we had it up. We did not plan that. We turned on a dime, and our business kept going. We had no down outage this week at all. I'm just saying that is the beauty of where we're at. That is what I want to get people to believe everywhere. Do not go for centralization. Go for decentralization. So, Brandon, thoughts on the AWS outage?
Well, brother, you said it all. I mean, the concept of decentralized versus centralized, right? And you can apply that in so many places in our life that is touched by these things. And when you're talking about these big boys like AWS, it touches a lot, and you just wonder how far does that go? Like maybe it's down for a day, but maybe it's not a day. Maybe it's a lot longer, and that pain feels a lot worse when you can't access your money for a month or two. Like how long does it take to get it back up? It just depends, right? When it's decentralized, that's not an issue. And I think that it's important for our listeners to know that we're committed to all of those basic principles of Web3, right? Everything that we do is going to be in line with those principles, and it's going to be the right thing to do. If it's not the right thing to do, we're not going to do it.
That's it. And you can see what's happening to like our literal token at this point. It's getting bullied by this market.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't change what we do. It, hasn't slowed me down on my work.
That's right.
May have sped me up a little bit. I don't know.
I think it did.
No, it's like more hyper about it. But I'll say this, we are committed to closing the gap on every single space there is a gap. There are already folks out there that are doing decentralized storage. Just know this, we're building our own. There are already folks out there that are doing decentralized networking so that communications stay up in more of a kind of a hash or a grid, or there's other words for it, a mesh network kind of thing. We're leaning into that too. Mm-hmm. Operating systems, we're leaning into it. Browsers, we're leaning into it. Everything, even mobile devices, y'all, we're leaning into it. We just got started. We're finishing our 5-year plan here on year 2.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll finish our 10-year plan during 2026. We have a new 10-year plan. And you're hearing the belief. What does it take for Web3 at its best to have every one of those gaps closed? You got to understand, I used to go into companies and walk in and do audits on their systems. I had to audit a system within a day and turn around and give recommendations and best practices for continuity, business continuity planning. I found every single gap in security and continuity and then built out how do you make sure that you can run a business even after this is gone. I was doing this years before COVID. So here I am doing continuity planning and business development back in 2010. Mm-hmm. And I brought people into hybrid cloud solutions that did not exist. We built them, some of it from scratch. Yes, we work in Linux. Yes, we were doing code in the early days of VMware before it was even established and understood. Backup solutions, networks that were flat networks across copper over Ethernet, then over fiber. You guys, I was in the process of fighting to get companies to pull fiber. I've been in these conversations. I've been in these situations. We have closed gaps so that businesses, by the time they hit 2020 and 2019, they called me. Their leaders called me and said, you kept our company open. We would not be open. We wouldn't have survived. Business shut down without you because I had moved everything into a hybrid cloud. So they had the security of localization as well as online before it was ever a thing. Year 1 of iPads coming out, I had clients using them to access online in cloud solutions in their hybrid cloud. Go back and look at the math. You couldn't do it back then. We built that. With that mindset, we're doing this. I've been in Web 1, I've been in Web 2, and I've been in Web 3 since the beginning of Web 2 and 3 and early days of Web 1. Can't say early days because it didn't help build ARPANET, right? Although my uncle did use it. So here we are, right here, right now. I'm telling you, we got eyes on closing the gaps so that each person is self-sovereign in their ability to do anything they need to do. Otherwise, none of this financial thing works, as we found out from, PayPal, and we found out from Stripe. When the networks go down, fiat wins in those days. And you know what else? Let's just go ahead and say, you know what, fiat? You won this past week. Good for you. You won. You beat fintech in the legacy form. Not Web3, because we're killing it. But in the legacy form, you beat fintech. Good for you. One for fiat dollars. But fiat, can I tell you something? Speaking to the fiat out there, you lose because you really don't exist. When we look under the hood at the banks that hold you, they don't have you in their house. And if we need to walk in and get what we own of you, we can't get it without an appointment and approval. And in the UK, EU, it just got worse because of digital ID. You can't make a big purchase because you can't get the money from your bank unless they release it to you or they have it prepared for you to give it to you when you go out the door. And then get this. And now you're limited on big purchases you can make at all because people can't receive that kind of fiat. So yes, fiat won last week. Fiat loses this week. And next week, crypto wins. That's what I really think. Brandon, your thoughts?
Like I said, brother, you covered it. It's all true. And that's why we do what we do. Because ultimately, these principles that we keep coming back to, it's all about freedom, right? And we want freedom for people all around the world. And we're giving them that opportunity. That's it. That's why we do this.
Equal freedom in finance
Right.
to elites and nobodies.
That's right.
Equal. We live in a very unequal, very biased world. And the bias at this point is if you're a global elite or not. People can say that there's other ways to look at it. That's fine. I deal in fintech. I deal in the financial crossing over technical world. I understand rails and a little about economics. So, you can make arguments to the other inequalities. But the greatest inequality I see right now comes from watching people who even have funds not be able to use them. Mm-hmm. Like, why does someone not get to use their funds when another can? Why is it okay to block them because they used up their social credits or they put up a bad post? Mm-hmm. Why is it okay to take their banking away just because they're from one party or another? Don't even ask me how I know about that. Why is it okay to go after people personally because their perspective, their views, or their life? Why is that okay? Now, it's one thing if somebody's been charged of something that's wrong in a judicial system and they've had their day in court. But we have moved away from a day where everyone's innocent until proven guilty. And every three-letter group out there and major bank and central banker and Rothschild or whoever gets to say all of a sudden that you, without a jury of your peers and without judicial review or oversight, without your day in court, you don't get to use your money because we don't like you anymore. You've used up your carbon footprint. What the hell? No, that is not okay. And we're calling it out. I've been quiet a long time. I've been doing this since 2010 for a reason. And I've had enough of the inequality that comes in these situations. I'm tired of leaders of countries being able to rewrite how they burn, spend, or print money and devalue good old fashioned white haired ladies who've saved, or their husbands have saved all their lives, passed on and left their estate to them, only to find out that the bank money they got, all that money, it don't spend like it used to. It only spends at half its value. So someone changed the game on them. Originally, the game was if you saved X number of dollars, you could live so many years in America and get by, because that's how you retire. And some financial planner told them that's how they work. But then we lived through 2020 through 2024, and the dollar was knocked down to like 1/10 of its value in actual spend. And all of a sudden, you're saying to these little old grandmas that used to have enough to live all the way, you've got to go get a Walmart job because you only have 1/3 of what you need to finish your life on this planet. And by the way, we're still giving you the same amount for your Social Security and your Medicaid or Medicare. Good luck. My friends, not okay. Not okay. I'm just calling it out like I see it. The game changed on some people, and it's not fair. We've got to equalize this game and this battle. And my hope is that a part of this is, in this new era, we help shake some hands across the aisle with the legacy finance, and we help them buy into what this is, because it offers some hedges and some protections for people that need it. And then where we need to, we replace it, because it's time. It's no longer appropriate for a few global elite to make all the decisions for everyone, especially whenever we've been sold on a bill of sale or a bill of goods that's no longer what it used to be. If you say retire at that, you better help people retire at that. You don't come in and sneakily print dollars to devalue their savings and deplete their future. Not okay. And I'm just going to call this out too, but it's not okay to be Canada and, God bless it, decide that, well, they're old and don't have money. They don't need to be here anymore. The further we get down this road with centralized banking and CBDCs and digital IDs, do not even think for a minute that the guy that was over the central bank in England, who's now leading Canada, isn't going to find more ways to get rid of people that aren't valuable to them. Guys, it's got to change. Okay. That's not conspiracy. That's reality. We're living in it. And AWS, man, it stirred me up, because I was like, hey, I didn't even notice they were down. AW who?
Bro, I've learned so much on this podcast. I thought you were just in it for a new Lambo.
Oh, God. Listen, most people don't know this about me, but I have given away more than I've ever made over many years to many people around the world to help. And I've fed refugees. I have, gone into areas and made sure that they had farming supplies, the ability to build. As far as people I know, I've done more micro lending myself out of my own pocket than anybody I personally know. I have been in mud huts. I've been in the far reaches of the planet. I'm only 2 continents away from traveling the whole world's continents. And honestly, I want to go to Australia, but I don't feel the need to hit Antarctica. I have been around a bit. And in those places, I've largely gone not to the vacation spots in Asia, but to the broken spots. Not to the vacation spots in Africa, but to the broken spots. Same thing for Europe, Central Europe and else. Middle East, South America, Central America. It's not been for vacations and fun. It's been to serve. And so from that perspective, my Lambo is all over the world, and I'm proud of it. And now this piece, it's just like an extension of that heartbeat. And at some point, folks are going to actually really believe in what we're doing and realize what we're about, and recognize that this is not just some other scam, that there's purpose and heart. And I invite that conversation. Community, come hang with us. I don't care if you can buy our token and use our stuff, we'll give you some if you'll just come do what we do. Shout us out, help build up our name and our brand, or get involved in one of our projects. We got a lot. We're about to roll out 2 developers with teams and say, now kick the tires and do beta tests. Every time people do, we reward them. So, we've got another airdrop coming the next year. It'd be a good time to get involved. You hear our hearts. So anyway, long story short, yeah, no, I'm not after a Lambo. I would like to get a paint job for my old truck.
Yeah, I hear
There'll
you,
be
brother.
tails. There'll be tails. When the F-150, my
Yeah,
F-150 gets a new paint job, there'll be tails. It'd be
yeah,
cool.
bro. We got stories to tell, don't we?
Yeah, we do. And you know what, man? What people don't realize is could we have had Lambos in this process? Me and you, through all what we've done, both with this company and others? Sure,
Hmm.
sure. We just put it back in.
That's
We
right.
keep putting it back in. We keep buying our own token back. We keep putting it
Mhm.
back in because we believe. Oh, anyway,
Right.
I got to stop. I'm about to start preaching or something. This is fun. Is
You're
there
not right,
anything
bro.
else you want to bring to this, brother, before we wrap it up? I know we got oncoming software we can talk about, but we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah.
What else you got? Anything else before we go?
No, man, I'm good. Does my beard still look okay?
Your beard is awesome. It wouldn't be a podcast without a response about the beard. I'm just saying.
That's right. That's right.
Well, you guys, we appreciate y'all being on, and if you stayed on this long with us here at your weekly roar, we hope it's encouraged you. We hope you heard our hearts, and we hope you're in it with us for the long haul. This is not a 1 year thing, a 2 year thing. You're
Mhm.
seeing real systemic problems that we're trying to create solutions with bigger ideas that use smaller people.
Mm.
Real world giants we're taking on with big ideas, use small people. If you're out there and you're one person and somebody said you're one person, you don't matter, you do to us. You do to us. It's that compounding effect of all of us, the degens, the nobodies, the outcasts, the outsiders. Together we matter. With one voice we'll roar. You guys have an awesome, awesome week, and know that we're in your corner. And again, don't forget, Lions, it's time to roar. Boom. Take care, Brandon. We'll see you next time.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.